The following session you're about to see is with a client by the name of Suzanne, who comes to the EFT session with fibromyalgia. Now, fibromyalgia is actually an autoimmune disorder and causes a lot of chronic pain in the physical body and aches in the joints, sometimes difficulty thinking and confusion in thinking or foggy thinking. And at this time, medical science has no real explanation for the cause of fibromyalgia, although all we really know is that it's connected to high levels of stress that people are experiencing and sometimes emotions, obviously, that are still repressed. And of course, the energy system that continuously becomes disrupted as this person continues to experience stress in their life on a regular basis. So you'll notice in the session with Suzanne that we begin by tapping actually on some of the physical aspects of her fibromyalgia, the pain that she's experiencing, the tension in her neck and shoulders. And it really only takes about 3 or 4 rounds before she begins to say it's like a 1 and it feels okay. And she's quite pleased with the results. And as we begin to tap a little bit more on some of the emotions connected to it, you'll also see that that's the other route that we often take with chronic illness. So you can tap on all the issues of frustration and anger around having the illness and how it limits them. That's often very connected for people who have chronic pain. And if we go even further back than that, you'll find at the end of the session that we really discover Suzanne has a pattern of feeling guilty or attacking herself, at least in her mind. Never really doing a good enough job as a mom, not spending enough time with her sons, not giving them enough love, affection, and attention. And if we went back even further, we discovered that Suzanne actually grew up with parents that were quite critical of her, and she's not even sure how to maybe compliment herself. So there's lots of more tapping to do for Suzanne, and absolutely can be healed by EFT, but know that with chronic illness and chronic pain and things like fibromyalgia, that there's many, many layers to it. And it's much more of a work of art in terms of discovering all those layers and peeling them back one at a time. It doesn't happen in one session, but it does happen if that client decides to continue tapping on a daily basis because they really want to be free. So we encourage the client to go home and tap and to come for regular sessions. And sometimes it takes a little longer, but the grass is obviously much greener on the other side. So I hope you get a little bit of empowerment and some hope from watching this session. Hi, Suzanne.
Hello, Karen.
Hi. Thanks for coming today. I understand that you want to try EFT because you experienced something called fibromyalgia.
Right.
How long have you been struggling with fibromyalgia or experiencing that?
Several years.
Several years, like 2 years, 10 years?
At least 10.
At least 10.
Yes.
Okay. So fibromyalgia is a really good example of how EFT can work, and there's 2 ways that we're going to approach this. We can first begin to tap on whatever it is you're experiencing in your body and using EFT to apply, like this pain that I have in my neck and my shoulders or wherever you're experiencing pain. So the symptoms that are coming from fibromyalgia, but we can also do EFT on the emotions surrounding it because it's probably been a challenging 10 years kind of working through it because they're not really sure even the cause of fibromyalgia and what we can do about it. So there's probably some sadness, like you mentioned. That
there's a lot of sadness and stress.
A lot of sadness and stress.
Mm-hmm.
And I think the only thing they've really been able to correlate fibromyalgia to is stress at this time, right? Is that?
That's the biggest factor.
Yes. So the body trying to respond to stress. Right. Good. So we can use EFT. I would recommend for you going home and doing EFT on a daily basis, 10 times a day if you can, on all the little stresses that come up so that you can kind of get out of that habit of reacting to stress. And you might find that fibromyalgia, which is really just the symptom, right? Right. We perceive it as the problem, but it's a symptom of something else. How the body's perceiving, how the mind is observing and perceiving other problems. So let's start maybe with something that you're experiencing at this moment in your body, like Is there physical pain? You mentioned there's like a little bit of fogginess in your head sometimes with fibromyalgia.
Yes, it's a confusion sometimes. You have to work harder, think harder, just to, everything's slowed down.
Yes.
To
Okay.
even concentrate on what you're doing.
So difficulty concentrating.
Right.
Okay.
It would make a difference on a work day, especially if you're in an office and you work with finances and a lot of other things.
Numbers are important.
Right.
What about physical pain that you have right now? Is there anything present for you?
Today I've had a lot of pain in my face. My major points in my face it's been here for a long time. It's where it starts, and then it goes down and up both sides and right into around the teeth.
Interesting.
Mm-hmm.
So maybe your jawline?
Yes, that's
tension
where
in your
I
jaw.
seem to hold it.
How much tension in your jaw do you have right now? If you had to scale it on a scale of 1 to 10, if you had to move your jaw around or just feel that?
Right now, it's not bad. It's actually moved into my shoulders.
Oh, okay.
Okay, it does.
Is that higher?
temper
Like, what's the
around.
highest?
Right now, it's in my shoulders, and I'd have to say right now it feels like about a 9.
A 9. And how would you describe it? So we try to be as specific as we can with EFT. So you would describe it as a dull ache, or just this tension, or
Tension and a dull ache.
anything else? Is it sharp? Is it shooting? Is it?
It's sharp right now, and it's just kind of in the back right there.
Right side or left more so?
More so on the left.
So it's like a 9 on your left, and on your right?
It's tense, but I would
Not
just
as
say it's
bad.
tense. It's not as bad.
Okay. So we'll start at the sore spot, and we'll focus on the shoulder tension and see if we can bring that number down a little bit. Okay. So we'll come 3 inches down and 3 inches across with your right hand or with your left, and pressing in a circle. We'll say, even though I have this tension in my shoulders,
Even though I have this tension in my shoulders,
this dull ache that doesn't seem to go away.
this dull ache that doesn't seem to go away.
Is that? You can tell by your smile. That's probably right.
Yes.
Regardless of that,
Regardless of that,
I'm open to loving and accepting myself,
I'm open to loving and accepting myself
and giving my body permission
and giving my body permission
to let that tension melt away.
to let that tension melt away.
Even though I have all this tension in my shoulders,
Even though I have all this tension in my shoulders,
I love and accept myself anyway.
I love and accept myself anyway.
I give my body permission
I give my body permission
to let that tension melt away.
to let that tension melt away.
At the inner part of the eyebrow, this tension in my shoulders,
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 all this tension in my shoulders,
all this tension in my shoulders,
all this tension in my shoulders.
all this tension in my shoulders,
Good side of the thumb, all this tension in my shoulders.
all this tension in my shoulders,
First finger, all this tension in my shoulders.
all this tension in my shoulders,
Middle finger, all this tension.
all this tension in my shoulders,
Pinky finger, all this
all
tension.
this tension in my shoulders,
Karate chop points together. Gorgeous. All this tension
all
in my
this tension in my shoulders.
the top of the head. Maybe I can let that tension go.
Maybe I can let that tension go.
Maybe I can let that tension melt away.
Maybe I can let that tension melt away.
One breath at a time.
One breath at a time.
Good. Deep full breath in and out. Release the top of the head. And then just roll your shoulders around and give me a number. It was
don't
about a
feel
9.
very much.
Okay, that's okay.
Yeah.
Is it like, wow, that's most, if it's 0, then it's like that's
It's like 0.
no tension at all in your shoulders.
Not much.
Let's do
bit.
a little bit. Okay. Even though, it's really strange, isn't it?
Yes.
Pressing in a circle as hard as you can.
Okay.
Even though I still have some of this tension in my shoulders,
Even though I have some of this tension in my shoulders,
I can love and accept myself anyway,
I can love and accept myself anyway.
fully and completely,
Fully and completely.
and give my body permission
I give my body permission
to let that tension go.
to let that tension go.
Even though I still have some of this tension
Even though I still have some of this tension
in my shoulders,
in my shoulders.
I love and accept myself anyway.
I love and accept myself anyway.
I can give my body permission
I can give my body permission
to let that tension melt away.
to let that tension melt away.
Good. 2 fingers to the inner part of your eyebrow.
I'm sorry.
It's
2.
okay. 2. You got it. This remaining tension in my shoulder.
This remaining tension in my shoulders.
Outside of the eye, this remaining tension in my shoulders.
This remaining tension in my shoulders.
Good. Under the eye, this remaining tension in my shoulders.
This remaining tension in my shoulders.
Under the nose, this remaining tension in my shoulders.
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 Maybe I can let it melt away.
Maybe I can let it melt away.
Karate chop points together. Make all this tension in my shoulders.
May all this tension in my shoulders.
Top of the head. Maybe I can let it melt away.
Maybe I can let it melt away.
One breath at a time.
One breath at a time.
Good. Deep full breath in and out. And then just check in with tension on your shoulder.
Much better.
Much better. Is it a 1? On that scale of 1 to 10.
If that. It's not bad.
There's still a little bit left. Right side or left side? What's left?
Yeah.
Well, it's just left. So we'll be more specific. So even though there's still this little bit of tension left in my left shoulder. Okay, and we'll tap on the left side of your body as well. Okay. So take your right hand over to your left side, pressing in a circle as hard as you can, but just don't hurt yourself. Even though there's a little bit of that tension left.
Even though there's a little bit of that tension left.
In my left shoulder.
In my left shoulder.
I love and accept myself anyway.
I love and accept myself anyway.
Fully and completely.
Fully and completely.
I give my left shoulder permission.
I give my left shoulder permission.
To let that tension melt away.
To let that tension melt away.
Even though I still have some of this tension.
Even though I still have some of this tension.
In my left shoulder.
In my left shoulder.
I love and accept myself anyway.
I love and accept myself anyway.
Fully and completely.
Fully and completely.
I give my left shoulder permission.
And give my left shoulder permission.
To let that remaining tension melt away.
To let that remaining tension melt away.
Inner part of the eyebrow on your left side, using your left hand. You're left-handed anyway, right?
I am.
Okay. Good. This remaining tension in my left shoulder.
This remaining tension in my left shoulder.
This little bit of tension left in my left shoulder.
This little bit of tension left in my left shoulder.
This tension remaining in my left shoulder.
This tension remaining
up a little bit.
My left shoulder.
Yeah. This tension remaining in my left shoulder.
This tension remaining in my left shoulder.
Oh, I can let it melt away.
I can let it melt away.
This tension remaining in my left shoulder.
This tension remaining in my left shoulder.
I can let it melt away.
I can let it melt away.
Top of the head, one breath at a time.
One breath at a time.
Good. And then release.
Okay.
And then just check in with left shoulder. Can you maybe, is it okay to move it in a bit of a circle? What's your normal range of motion for that? Oh, look at that.
I can do that. It's just in here that it gets really sore sometimes.
How does it feel? Is it more sadness or frustration? Just by the look on your face, it was more like
frustration sometimes.
How frustrated are you, just with fibromyalgia, or just with your body, or what is it that you're frustrated about?
Being limited with fibromyalgia, I find everything harder.
Yeah. Is the shoulder 0 or pretty close?
Pretty close.
Okay.
Yes.
So we'll move on, because we'll just move on to the emotions that are probably connected to it anyway.
Okay.
So you're frustrated with the limitations that you have because of fibromyalgia. Like you can't do some of the things that you'd really like to do.
I have some pretty bad days. Yes.
How frustrating is it on a scale of 1 to 10? Like if you really had to think about those days where
I have to push myself just to get out of bed.
Yeah.
So some days are a 10. The frustration.
Can you access that now? So EFT works really well if you can feel that feeling now. Do you know what I'm saying? Like feel the frustration in this present moment, not as if it was a month ago or whenever it was, but to feel frustration now. EFT works best if you can feel it now. So do you feel frustrated now with it when you think about it? What's the most frustrating part?
Is having to push myself on to get through my day.
Because you're tired a lot, or?
And I have to work anyway sometimes. I mean, that's just life.
And what's the emotion underneath that?
I guess a bit of anger.
That I still have to work even though I have this.
That is limiting me to.
Okay. Like this fibromyalgia limits me, and I'm so mad at it.
Right.
Yeah. Even though, how could you scale that for me on a scale of 1 to 10? How angry you feel when you think about it? I know it's hard sometimes because it's like it's an emotion. How do I scale that?
I'm getting very tense.
That's okay. It'll be gone in a minute. I just need you to get there first.
Okay, well, my body's getting there. I'm
That's
feeling
okay.
it in my shoulders and
It comes back. It's probably
my
where you
head.
hold it, right?
Yeah.
Like an
My
8.
arm. Different parts of my body. Yeah, right now it is.
An 8 or 9 or a 7.
8.
Even though I have all this anger,
I have all this anger.
this fibromyalgia
This fibromyalgia
limits me.
limits me.
Regardless of that,
Regardless of that,
I'm open to loving and accepting myself.
I am open to loving and accepting myself.
Even though I have all this anger
Even though I have all this anger
at my fibromyalgia
at my fibromyalgia
and how it limits me,
and how it limits me.
I still have to work,
I still have to work,
and it's so frustrating.
and it's so frustrating.
Regardless of all that,
Regardless of all that,
I can love and accept myself
I can love and accept myself
fully and completely.
fully and completely.
Inner part of the eyebrow, this anger,
This anger,
this anger,
this anger,
this fibromyalgia,
this fibromyalgia,
this anger.
this anger.
So angry at this fibromyalgia.
I'm so angry at this fibromyalgia.
It limits me in so many ways.
It limits me in so many ways.
All this anger I have at the fibromyalgia.
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 Middle finger, this anger,
This anger,
this anger.
this anger,
Karate chop, this anger.
this anger.
And back of the hand. Right between the, yeah, you got it. Close your eyes and then open. And look, without moving your head, look down hard to the right.
Oops.
You got it. Down hard to the left. Big circle. Good. You got it other way. Keep tapping the back of your hand. We'll just do floor to ceiling eye roll. Keep tapping. All this anger I have.
All this anger I have.
This fibromyalgia limits me.
This fibromyalgia limits
I'm so
me.
tired of dealing with
I'm
it.
so tired of dealing with it.
Is that true?
Yes.
So tired of dealing with it.
I'm so tired of dealing with it.
Relax your left hand. Just relax your left hand. Outside of the eye. So tired of dealing with it.
So tired of dealing with
All
it.
this anger.
All this anger.
Anger at fibromyalgia.
Anger at fibromyalgia.
All this anger.
All this anger.
So tired of dealing with it.
So tired of dealing with it.
Pride chop point together. So tired of dealing with it.
So tired of dealing with it.
But maybe I can be open
Maybe I can be open.
to beginning
Begin
to let that anger
to
go.
let that anger go.
Take a deep full breath in. Head out. Just say I'm really angry at my fibromyalgia, or I have so much anger about fibromyalgia because it limits me in so many ways.
I'm so angry about fibromyalgia. I'm having fibromyalgia because it limits me in so many ways.
Can you give me a number on a scale of 1 to 10 when you think about that? Or what's your next thought that comes up? Your automatic thought.
Overwhelmed, embarrassed.
Well,
That's a feeling.
That's good. That's okay. How angry are you on a scale of 1 to 10? Is that possible to scale that? There's probably so much underneath there.
There's a lot underneath there.
Can't give me a number for anger. But you feel overwhelmed.
Overwhelmed is the biggest feeling.
Okay. Even though I have this overwhelmed feeling,
Even though I have this overwhelmed
I
feeling.
love and accept myself anyway.
I love and accept myself anyway.
Even though I have this overwhelmed feeling,
Even though I have this overwhelmed feeling,
I'm willing to love and accept myself anyway.
I'm willing to love and accept myself anyway.
Even though I have this overwhelmed feeling,
Even though I have this overwhelmed feeling,
I'm willing to love and accept myself anyway.
I'm willing to love and accept myself anyway.
Inner part of the eyebrow, so overwhelmed.
So overwhelmed.
This overwhelmed feeling.
This overwhelmed feeling.
Under the eye, so overwhelmed.
So overwhelmed.
Under the nose, so overwhelmed.
So overwhelmed.
Overwhelmed by all these emotions.
Overwhelmed by all these emotions.
Connected to fibromyalgia.
Connected to fibromyalgia.
Card chop point together. So tired of dealing with it.
So tired of dealing with it.
Top of the head. So tired of dealing with it.
So tired of dealing with it.
Oh, so overwhelmed.
So overwhelmed.
Maybe I can let that overwhelmed feeling go.
Maybe I can let that overwhelmed feeling go.
A little bit at a time.
A little bit at a time.
Release. Deep full breath. How overwhelmed do you feel when you think about 10 years of fibromyalgia and how it limits you?
Tired.
You're tired. We're not overwhelmed anymore.
No, now we're tired.
Ah, you move fast.
It tires me out.
Yeah, but you're tired of dealing with it.
Mm-hmm.
All the limitations. You look tired. Like you have that feel that just exhausted.
You're right.
You don't want to deal with it anymore. Can you give me a number for that feeling?
10.
Even though
I'm
so tired of dealing with this.
I'm so tired of dealing with it.
I feel exhausted.
I feel exhausted.
I love and accept myself anyway.
I love and accept myself anyway.
Even though I'm so tired of dealing with all this.
Even though I'm so tired of dealing with all of this.
So exhausted.
So exhausted.
I love and accept myself anyway.
I love and accept myself anyway.
Even though I'm so tired of dealing with all this.
I'm so tired of dealing with all this.
I love and accept myself anyway.
I love and accept myself anyway.
The inner part of the eyebrow. So tired of dealing with all this.
I'm so tired of dealing with all this.
So tired of dealing with fibromyalgia.
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 So tired of dealing with all this.
So tired of dealing with all this.
So tired of dealing with fibromyalgia.
So tired of dealing with fibromyalgia.
So tired of dealing with all this.
So tired of dealing with all this.
I don't want to accept that fibromyalgia.
I don't want to accept this fibromyalgia.
Is that true?
Yes.
I don't want to accept it.
I don't want to accept it.
So I keep resisting it.
So I keep resisting it.
Middle finger. Don't want to accept it.
Don't want to accept it.
So I keep resisting it.
So I keep resisting it.
Pinky finger. But as I keep resisting it,
As I keep resisting
it doesn't seem to be going away.
it doesn't seem to be going away.
Karate chop points, and maybe I can love and accept myself,
Maybe I can love and accept myself.
even though I have this fibromyalgia.
Even though I have this fibromyalgia.
Back of the hand. Close the eyes. Open. Look down hard to the right. Down hard to the left. Big circle with the eyes. Good, you got it. Other direction. Keep tapping if you can. Let's do happy birthday together.
Okay.
Count to 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Inner part of the eyebrow. So tired of dealing with fibromyalgia.
So tired of dealing with fibromyalgia.
So tired of dealing with fibromyalgia. Oh,
So tired of dealing with fibromyalgia.
I'm so tired of dealing with this.
I'm so tired of dealing
I'm
with
so
this.
sick and tired of dealing with this.
So sick and tired of dealing with this.
Is it more sick and tired of dealing with it?
More sick and tired of dealing with
Is that right?
Yeah.
Sick and tired of dealing with this.
Sick and tired of dealing with this.
I am so sick and tired of dealing with
I'm
this.
so sick and tired of dealing with this.
But I'm going to love and accept myself anyway.
But I'm going to love and accept myself anyway.
Maybe I can love and accept myself anyway.
Maybe I can love and accept myself anyway.
Release. Deep full breath. I have to say, I am so tired of dealing with this.
I am so tired of dealing with this.
Give me a number on a scale of 1 to 10. How? Because you were a 10.
5.
5. Even though, that's good. That's great. Even though I still have some of this feeling.
I still have some of this feeling.
Like I am sick and tired of dealing with this fibromyalgia.
Like I am sick and tired of dealing with this fibromyalgia.
I can love and accept myself anyway.
I can love and accept myself anyway.
Maybe one day,
Maybe one day,
give my body permission
give my body permission
to let go of all this stress
give my body permission to let go of all of this stress
and all of these emotions
and all of these emotions
that are probably connected to that fibromyalgia.
that are probably connected to fibromyalgia.
Maybe not today,
Maybe not today,
but maybe a little bit at a time.
but maybe a little bit at a time.
Okay, this remaining feeling,
This remaining feeling.
so sick and tired of dealing with fibromyalgia.
So sick and tired of dealing with fibromyalgia.
This remaining feeling,
This remaining
so
feeling.
sick and tired.
So sick and tired.
Don't want to deal with fibromyalgia anymore.
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 This remaining feeling.
This remaining feeling.
Sick and tired of dealing.
Sick and tired of dealing.
Middle finger, remaining feeling.
Remaining feeling.
Sick and tired of dealing with it.
Sick and tired.
Sick and tired of dealing with it.
Sick and tired of dealing with it.
It's good, I actually believe you when you say it now. Sick and tired of dealing with it.
Sick and tired of dealing with it.
Okay. Close your eyes. Keep tapping the back of your hand. Open your eyes. Look down hard to the right, down hard to the left. Biggest circle you can find with the eyes. Gorgeous. Keep tapping if you can. Good. And the other direction. Good. And then we'll just do floor to ceiling eye roll. Keep tapping.
Okay.
This remaining feeling.
This remaining feeling.
I'm so sick and tired of dealing with fibromyalgia.
So sick and tired of dealing with fibromyalgia.
Maybe I can let that feeling go.
Maybe I can let that feeling go.
Good. Top of the head. Maybe I can let that feeling go.
Maybe I can let that feeling go.
Okay. Deep full breath. Release. So I am sick and tired of dealing with fibromyalgia.
I'm sick and tired of dealing with fibromyalgia.
Good! Give me a number. How true does that feel for you?
It's true.
Okay. How do you feel when you say it, though? Can you give me a number? Like, how sick and tired do you feel?
I'm feeling energized right now.
Oh.
I don't think I should, but I do. I feel like I'm ready to fight it.
Ah. Like, you could fight it if you have the energy to now.
Yeah.
That's a nice feeling. So is the phrase or the statement, eventually what happens with the EFT is that when it's a 0, it might not feel as true for us anymore.
Okay.
So is it a 0, or is it still, when you say that statement, does it still match the feeling that you get inside? You say, I'm sick and tired of dealing with fibromyalgia. Can you give me a number on a scale of 1 to 10? No, that's hard to do.
It is.
Do you feel that when you say that?
I'm feeling not so stressed right now.
Mm-hmm.
That's probably the only number I could give. That's the only thing I could think of.
Yeah, that's okay.
I'm not as
Is there a little bit of
stressed.
that feeling left? Like you're sick and tired
Not
of it?
as much.
Okay, that's okay. But
Yeah.
is there still some left?
Just in my legs. That's where I'm feeling it right now.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Even though,
Okay.
I'll do one more round on it.
Sure.
Even though I still have some of this feeling left,
Even though I have some of this feeling left.
like I'm sick and tired of dealing with fibromyalgia,
I'm sick and tired of dealing with fibromyalgia.
and it feels like it's in my legs,
And it feels like it's in my lower legs.
lower legs, I'm going to let that move out through my feet.
I'm going to let that move out through my feet.
I'm going to love and accept myself anyway,
I'm going to love and accept myself anyway.
fully and completely.
Fully and completely.
This remaining feeling,
This remaining feeling.
outside of the eye, so sick and tired.
So sick and tired.
Under the eye, so sick and tired.
So sick and tired.
This remaining feeling,
This remaining feeling.
so sick and tired.
So sick and tired.
Dealing with fibromyalgia.
Dealing with fibromyalgia.
This remaining feeling,
This remaining feeling.
still in my lower legs.
Still in my lower legs.
Maybe I can move that out through my feet.
Maybe I can move that out through my feet.
Maybe I can let that go.
Maybe I can let that go.
This remaining feeling
This remaining feeling
of being sick and tired
of being sick and tired.
of dealing with fibromyalgia.
Of dealing with fibromyalgia.
I can let it go.
I can let it go.
Deep full breath in. Release your hand as you exhale. And then just think the thought or say out loud, whatever you prefer. I'm sick and tired of dealing with fibromyalgia.
I'm sick and tired of dealing with fibromyalgia.
Can you give me a number how that feels for you? Does it sound funny, or does it sound like how would you describe it as you say it?
No, I just I'm sick and tired of dealing with it and the stress. And I'm tired again.
Because a moment ago you...
I'm sick and tired of it. I did feel rejuvenated a bit.
Uh-huh. Just for a moment, though. That's all we got.
That was it. Yeah.
So there's still some sick and tired feeling. Can you be more specific about it?
I don't think I can.
That's okay.
It's something that's pretty hard to describe.
Is there another emotion about it? Anger or sadness?
There's sometimes depression.
Depression's big.
Right.
Yeah. So you get like that feeling of despair, maybe?
Right.
Would that be more accurate?
Right.
How much despair do you feel about it when you think about it now?
I guess maybe a 7.
Maybe a 7. That feeling that you had in your legs, is it still there or is it gone?
It's not feeling as dense as it did.
It was dense. You can almost feel it, eh?
Yeah.
Has it moved? Where did it?
It's like it's in my shoulders.
It went back up to your shoulders
It
again.
moves around.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We call that chasing the pain.
Right.
Because we could tap on the shoulders and then it's going to move to your legs, and we're going
Right.
to tap on your legs and it's going to move somewhere else. So we keep tapping until we let that emotion be processed. So we feel it. You have to feel the emotion in order for it to be processed.
Okay.
Do you know what I mean? That's the hardest part.
Okay.
How often do you ever cry about when you think about?
Crying for me has been really, it's been really hard. It's very rare that I can cry. I hurt so much emotionally, but I have troubles crying. Yet, when I do cry, I have managed to release it a few times, and the feeling is good afterwards.
Isn't that great?
Right. So I have managed to do that. I went several years without even being able to cry.
Wow.
And that's not a good thing. I am an emotional person, so
But you hold it all in?
I hold it all in, and I feel like I cry on the inside, and there's a constant sadness.
Yeah.
Because I'm not shedding the tears.
You feel like there's this constant sadness. And do you see it when you look in the mirror?
Sometimes I see
Like in
it.
your eyes or in your face?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. I see it.
What do you think you're so sad about? Like, if it wasn't the fibromyalgia, what's it really about?
I guess that I didn't have more free time to spend with my children when they were growing up, because I was always working, you know. I think maybe some of it goes there.
I think that's what you're really sad
Part of
about.
it.
That you didn't get to spend time with your kids.
I have a younger son who has left and gone out west, and I feel like because I was working so much, shifts and everything, that maybe he didn't get as much from me as a mother as I would like to have given him, you know.
So you give yourself a lot of trouble for that.
Oh, I'm very sad about that.
Give me a number for that.
10.
How do you know? Do you feel it here? Like in your chest or in your heart or in
My chest.
your chest? Even though. So I got this. Even though I have all this sadness.
Even though I have all this sadness.
Because I feel like I didn't provide my son. Your son specifically? Because I feel as though I didn't provide my son.
Is that because I feel as though I didn't provide my son
with as much attention as I would have liked to.
with as much attention as I would have liked to.
You feel free to rephrase it if you have something in your mind that would be more specific.
I feel as though I tried very hard to work from home and for my son.
But you weren't able to do that.
But I did manage to do that, but it didn't seem to make a difference. And I'm sad that I couldn't have given him more
time. But regardless of that, maybe I can love and accept myself.
Maybe I can love and accept myself.
More importantly, maybe I can forgive myself for that.
Maybe I can forgive myself for that.
Maybe. Yeah, inner part of the eyebrow, the sadness.
Maybe the sadness.
And outside the eye, this sadness.
This sadness.
Under the eye, this sadness.
This sadness.
This sadness.
This sadness.
I should have given my son more time.
I should have given my son more time and attention.
I should have given my son more time and attention.
I should have given my son more time and attention.
Side of the thumb, this sadness.
This sadness.
This sadness.
This sadness.
This sadness.
This sadness.
Should have given my son.
Should have given my son.
Pinky finger. More time.
More time and son.
More time and attention.
And attention. And love.
And love. Back of the hand. All this sadness.
All this sadness.
Floor to feet tapping if you can. Do you want me to do it? This sadness.
This sadness.
All this sadness.
All this sadness.
Should have given my son
Should have given my son
more time and attention.
more time and attention.
All this sadness.
All this sadness.
Should have given my son
Should have given my son
more time and attention.
more time and attention.
Should have given my son
Should have given my son
more time and
more
attention.
time and attention.
Should have given my son
Should have given my son
more time and attention.
more time and attention.
But maybe
But maybe
I can forgive myself for that.
I can forgive myself for that.
Maybe not today,
Maybe not today,
but I can at least be open to it.
but I can be open to it.
Deep full breath in. Out. That was definitely a 10 for you. How many years have you kind of beat yourself up about that? Can I use that word?
Yes, that's
Years.
about 5.
Can you give me a number on a scale of 1 to 10 when you think about your sadness? Should have given my son more time and attention.
Should have given my son more time and attention.
Is it more guilt or mad at yourself? Or is it still sadness?
I spoke to counselors and things, to doctors about his behavior, and basically got some information that you need love and respect from your child too, and I should have got more respect. And I'm a little bit angry at how it went, because we really don't have any control over how someone else responds to what you say to them.
That's correct.
And my lack of control, or being able to change things, lack of response, and how permanent this feels right now is overwhelming.
You really feel the sadness is permanent, as if you could never let it go?
No, well, I don't feel as though the feelings that it almost feels like it's not something that can ever be corrected or talked through and healed.
So you feel like there'll never be a resolution?
I've tried for resolution, and he is not responding. And when he does respond, it's cold and negative.
What's the emotion around that? That's the most important part, because we could talk for hours about it.
The emotion around
When you talk about it, what's the feeling?
hopelessness.
Is it still sadness though? Is
Sorrow.
the sadness is shifted?
I feel like it's a loss, like a death of a relationship.
Even though I have this feeling,
Even though I have this feeling,
like that relationship will be lost,
like that relationship is lost,
I love and accept myself anyway,
I love and accept myself anyway,
fully and completely.
fully and completely.
Even though I have this sorrow,
Even though I have this sorrow,
because it feels like that relationship is lost,
because it feels like that relationship is lost.
I love and accept myself anyway,
I love and accept myself anyway,
fully and completely.
fully and completely.
Inner part of the eyebrow. This sorrow.
This sorrow,
Outside the eye, this sorrow.
sorrow,
This sorrow.
this sorrow.
That relationship with my son is lost.
That relationship with my son is lost.
This sorrow.
This sorrow.
That relationship with my son is lost.
That relationship with my son is lost.
Or at least it feels that way.
At least it feels that way.
This sorrow.
This sorrow.
Don't move your hand, just follow the fingers. This sorrow.
Sorrow.
Feels like that relationship with my son is
It
lost.
feels like this relationship with my son is lost.
Good, look up, up, up. Release. This sorrow.
This sorrow.
Outside the eye, this sorrow.
This sorrow.
Feels like that relationship
Feels like this
with
relationship
my son is lost.
with my son is lost.
This sorrow.
This sorrow.
Lost that relationship with my son.
Lost that relationship with my son.
This sorrow.
This sorrow.
Maybe I can let it go.
Maybe I can let it go.
Or at least give myself permission to do so.
At least give myself permission to do so.
So that I don't have to suffer anymore.
So I don't have to suffer anymore.
Maybe I can let that sorrow go.
Maybe I can let that sorrow go.
Okay, deep full breath in. Out. You said there was sadness about not spending enough time with your son.
Yeah. I didn't spend enough quality time with my son.
Well, just give me the emotion around that. Is it still sadness or is it guilt?
It's guilt, and there's a bit of anger.
Oh, there's so much to tap on.
Yeah.
Can you tell me the sorrow about the lost relationship? Can you give me a number for that?
100.
10. Still 10. Oh, there's so much there to tap. And because we've held it in for so long, it's probably connected to everything that we're experiencing, right?
It is, and it also is connected to feelings of anger and disappointment in my older son because of the attention I ended up having to take away from. I have 3 sons. The youngest son, because of drugs and alcohol and stress and negativity, and be pulled into that because I cared about him too, and I feel like my younger son suffered for that. Meaning, when I say suffered for that
how do you feel about it? It's okay, you can tell me the story, but I need to, how do you feel? Is there guilt? Is there...
Very guilty for my younger son, because he could have seen more happiness in me as a mom, and not seen so much pain from things and outcomes of situations.
So the really interesting part about, I think fibromyalgia is classified as an autoimmune disorder. Is that right?
Yes.
Where it's the body attacking itself. It's actually representative of the mind attacking you, or your mind is attacking yourself over and over again. You didn't do this right, and you should feel guilty about this, and you were bad at doing this. So it's the critical voice in our mind that actually begins to represent and replicate in the physical body. Because the autoimmune disorder is the body attacking itself, just like the mind keeps attacking itself. Do you know what I mean? Like, we're actually,
it's like a tape that's going over and over.
We're shaming and guilting ourselves over and over and over. And as much as the critic feels like we can't let go of that, and to a certain extent the critic feels like it has a really important role to play in making us a better person and making better choices, it actually keeps the critic alive. The critic can never die. And so we keep living a life and where we keep criticizing ourselves, expecting things to be better, but we never start
to move on.
And we never start complimenting ourselves like, hey, you've done a really good job, because the critic is just a pattern of thinking that never ever changes and continues to criticize ourselves in every way, shape, or form. So the process of becoming mindful of that and going back on tapping, there'd be more than, like, for something like that's classified as a chronic illness or an autoimmune disorder, there's lots of tapping to do, and it can by all means get into the root of the problem of all that critical voice that you've had for however many years that told you weren't a good mom or you didn't make the right choices, and releasing that guilt and that sadness and that anger, probably at yourself or
at myself more than anyone.
Oh. and fibromyalgia is almost just a mirror of that. And the idea is that, like, I know it feels really important to hang on to that anger. We're not really sure if we could possibly ever forgive ourselves. So we would change your setup statement to, even though I have all this anger, I love, accept, and forgive myself. Maybe we'll just do a couple more rounds before we let you go, so that you can keep practicing and keep tapping when you get home. Because something like this scenario and situation is something that you could tap on. You know, if I had a whole weekend retreat or a whole week-long retreat and we just tapped everything away, then all the story, we just tapped the whole story away. you get to be free. And the fibromyalgia, which is really just the symptom, that begins to fall away. That would be great. Mm-hmm. You can keep tapping on the symptoms that you're experiencing on a daily basis, but it's really more important to listen to that critical voice and see if we can tap that critical voice away.
Right, right.
We could ask, where did that critical voice come from? That would be even deeper, right? If we really want to get to the root, it's probably that when you were a little girl, you had a mom or a dad that was very critical of you. Right. Would that be true? If I had to. True. Mm-hmm. So you learned to criticize yourself because you were probably criticized as a little girl too, and never felt like you did good enough or did anything right.
Was never praised.
I was never praised. Right? So we don't even know how to praise ourselves because no one ever praised us. No one taught me how to do that. How do you do that? It feels awkward and backwards and not true. Yeah. And that's okay. And that's where the detective work happens with EFT. It's really important to get to the deepest root. So even though there's a little girl inside me that feels like she didn't do good enough, it's probably where I'd go back to if we could.
Inner child.
Inner child work. Have you done any inner child work? A little bit.
A long time ago, about 10 years.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. So
I'm open to that, though.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Can you give me an idea of guilty feelings? Like, is it a general, I was a bad mom and I feel guilty? Or is it, what's the first thing that comes to mind?
I wasn't a bad mother, but I don't think I was good enough. I think it could have been better.
And you feel, is it bad or guilty about that?
Disappointed in myself. Guilty.
What were you guilty about? We were talking about a minute ago that you were guilty about not spending enough time with your son.
Well, sorry, I'm just trying to think of how to word that. I should have given more hugs. I went through a divorce and my mother dying all around the same time. There was always so much going on that I feel like you
didn't give him enough love or affection.
I was being pulled, and I was the one who wanted the divorce, but there was so much going on and working full time. And
how guilty do you feel about that?
Very bad, very guilty.
Let's just go with very.
Okay, 10.
Even though
I
have all this guilt.
I have all this guilt.
There was so much going on in my life.
There was so much going on in my life.
I wasn't able to give my son.
I wasn't able to give my son
the love, affection, and attention.
The love, affection, and attention.
That I would have liked to.
That I would have liked to.
Regardless of that.
Regardless of that.
I can love, accept, and forgive myself.
I can love, accept, and forgive myself.
Fully and completely.
Fully and completely.
Good. Inner part of the eyebrow. This guilty feeling.
This guilty feeling.
Outside the eye, this guilty feeling.
This guilty feeling.
Under the eye, this guilty feeling.
This guilty feeling.
I didn't spend enough time with my son.
I didn't spend enough time with my son.
I didn't give them enough hugs.
I didn't give them enough hugs.
This guilty feeling.
This guilty feeling.
I didn't give them enough hugs.
I didn't give them enough hugs.
There was so much going on in my life.
There was so much going on in my life.
Regardless of that.
Regardless of that.
I can forgive myself.
I can forgive myself.
Of this guilty feeling.
Of this guilty feeling.
Good. Let's close your eyes. Open. Down hard right. Down hard left. Take a circle you can find. Gorgeous. Other way. Good. Let's do happy birthday. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Inner part of the eyebrow, this guilty feeling.
This guilty feeling.
Didn't spend enough time with my sons.
Didn't spend enough time with my son.
Under the eye, this guilty feeling.
This guilty feeling.
Didn't give them enough hugs.
Didn't give them enough hugs.
Didn't give them enough attention.
Didn't give them enough attention.
This guilty feeling.
This guilty feeling.
Maybe I can let it go.
Maybe I can let it go.
Maybe I can let it go through my breath.
Maybe I can let it go through my breath.
This guilty feeling.
This guilty feeling.
This guilty feeling.
This guilty feeling.
Maybe I can let it go.
Maybe I can let it go.
This guilty feeling.
This guilty feeling.
Maybe I can let it go.
Maybe I can let it go.
Good. Deep full breath in. I'm just checking with guilty feeling. Specifically with, I didn't give them enough hugs. Is it still a 10?
No.
Yay! Is it a 7? A 6? 2?
2,
Hmm.
if that.
3? Huh?
2.
Even though I still have some of this guilty feeling?
Even though I have some of this guilty feeling.
Because I didn't give my son enough attention and hugs.
I didn't give my sons enough attention and hugs.
I love, accept, and forgive myself.
I love, accept, and forgive myself.
Fully and completely.
Fully and completely.
This remaining guilty feeling.
This remaining guilty feeling.
This remaining guilty feeling.
This remaining guilty feeling.
Remaining guilty feeling.
Remaining guilty feeling.
Remaining guilty feeling. Remaining guilty
Remaining guilty feeling.
feeling.
Remaining guilty feeling.
Didn't give them enough attention.
Didn't give them enough attention.
Didn't give my sons enough attention.
Didn't give my sons enough attention.
But maybe I can forgive myself.
Maybe I can forgive myself.
Fully and completely.
Fully and completely.
Deep full breath. And out. And just check in with guilty feeling about not giving them, your sons, enough attention. And give me a number if you can.
1. I think all 3 of my sons, I wasn't able to give them enough love and attention because of life circumstances, that it wasn't intentional.
It wasn't intentional.
No, there
And
was
that's
too
what-
much going on.
Yeah. So that's where the EFT, the shift happens. We're like, oh, I'm so guilty. I should have given them more attention. And after we get to like a 1, we're like, oh, well, I did the best I could given the life circumstances that were going on. I was going through a divorce and your mom had passed away.
And yes, and
Is there a little bit of guilty left? Little? There's probably a whole lot
there's probably a whole lot
of other.
of other issues. Right.
Yeah. I think you've done great today.
Thank you.
So there's still lots more tapping to do.
There is.
But I think you've provided us with a really good example of how we can work through those layers a little bit at a time.
Thank you. I'm proud that I was able to go there.
Thank you.
Thank you.